Greetings and thank you for joining me for this tutorial. Today we're going to look at a simple example of a JavaScript promise. So we'll start by creating a new project. And I'll just call this promise example. I'll open up Atom because that's my editor of choice. You can use whichever editor you like. And I'll bring in that project folder. Okay, and once I bring it in, I'll make a new file. And I'll just call this example1.js because it's a JavaScript file. And what we'll do now is we'll look at an example of a function that gives a certain output, but it delays the output response by 1 second. So it's going to be a function that takes 3 numbers and does something with them. So let's define 3 easy to work with numbers. So far so good. Alright, good. And what does our function do? Well, I'm going to call this function myDelayedSum. So it's a function that's going to give a sum. So we're going to create a value d, and we're going to say that that value d is equal to the third parameter passed as input added to the ratio of the second parameter to the first. And since we're using a set timeout function here, we have to define the delay. We're going to define it. We're going to set it up as 1 second, which is 1,000 milliseconds. All right. So if we log the result of this function to the console, we'll use A, B, and C as our inputs. What should we get? Well, first of all, we have to return something here, and that'll be d. So this value of d, what will it be? Well, if we look at y and x, those are our second and third parameters respectively. Here that would be b and c. Sorry, y and x would be our second and our first parameters respectively, which would be b and a. So we have b divided by a, 40,000 divided by 10, that should be 4,000. And if we add to it the third parameter, which in this case is c, which is 22, we should end up with 4,022. So if we run our program, we end up with undefined. Why is that? Well, let's look at the way the code runs. If we just look at it, say, from top to bottom, we get here to our myDelayedSum function, and inside of it we've got this operation happening, and the result of that operation d is returned 1 second after it's evaluated. Or this operation isn't even executed until 1 second has passed, and then that happens, and then it returns it. And you can see down here that the whole process was finished in just over 2 seconds. So you'd imagine that that 1 second that we added in here was significant. And down here, we're trying to log something to the console, which in this case would be the result of the myDelayedSum function. But if we just move downward and we get the console log here, and we try to print something to the console, that something hasn't yet been completed here. So it's basically an undefined value that we're getting. and we are printing that to the console, and we see that that's what we have down here. Right, so this is just an artificial example, and you're probably not really going to ever create a situation like this, but how would you handle it? First of all, I think we should look at how this would work without the delay. So let's create a new file. We'll call it example 2, just to keep things easy to deal with. Take all of our code from the previous example, bring it in here, and let's not call it my delayed sum because we're not going to delay things this time. Let's just call it my sum. All right, and let's get rid of this set timeout function. Right now, if we run things, let's see if we get the value that we expected D to be, which was 4022. And indeed, you can see that we do get the value 4022, and we see that the whole process was finished in just over 1 second. So when we introduced the set timeout function into the problem, we did add a second into the whole process. So this situation right here is not what we're concerned with. Things work here as we expect them to work. But when we introduce the set timeout function, things don't work in the way that we would like them to. We end up with an undefined value. So how do we get around that? So now let's go and create a new file. And let's call this file not example 3, but example promise. Right, and we'll bring this code in here, but we'll modify it a bit. Take this out. In fact, let's not bring this in yet. And let's write things out a little bit differently in terms of promises in this way. Okay, so we're halfway there, and we see that we have this promise function that takes as inputs two other functions, a resolve function and a reject function. So what are these? What do they do? If we go to the MDN Web Docs page and we look at what's going on here, we see that when we define a new promise, we have something within it called an executor or an executor. I'm just going to call it an executor. And what is that? Well, we can just see here that an executor is a function that is passed with the arguments resolve and reject. The executor function is executed immediately by the promise implementation passing resolve and reject functions. The executor is called before the promise constructor even returns the created object. The resolve and reject functions, when called, resolve or reject the promise, respectively. The executor normally initiates some asynchronous work, and then, once that completes, either calls the resolve function to resolve the promise, or else rejects it if an error occurred. If an error is thrown in the executor function, the executor function, the promise is rejected. The return value of the executor is ignored. So if that is clear as mud at this point, don't worry. Right now we're just looking at a quick and dirty solution to a problem that we had of getting a value that was undefined when we didn't expect it to be, because we threw in a delayed function, or a function that gave us a delayed response. So we want to continue working on how to handle that. But I do encourage you to read through the web docs and try to understand for yourself what's going on. So back to our code. We're not finished yet. We need to write the other half of it, which looks something like this. So we're going to log things to the console within our then function response. Well, basically what we're going to log to the console is the result that was given here, which in this case is passed by the resolve function. Okay, and then we're going to say that if there is an error, we're going to catch it. Okay. So things don't look exactly the same, but they do look similar to our first example. So we still expect that when we take our third parameter as input, which was 22 here, and we add it to the ratio of 4,000 divided by, 4,000 to 10, then we would end up with 4022. Right? But again, we've introduced this delayed response, which previously was giving us a value for d of undefined. So hopefully by implementing this promise, implementing this code that includes a new promise function, that somehow that'll take care of things and we won't end up with undefined when we look at the console. So again, let's run things. And we get the value that we'd hoped for, which is 4022. And we see that the process took just over 2 seconds. So it did handle the delay, and it did give us the correct value, or it gave us a properly defined value, as to where before, by not using a promise, we ended up with undefined here, and just over 2 seconds of processing time. Okay, so somehow this resolve function sent the value here. Here we're calling it result. We log that result to the console, and we get the 4022. But what happens if we have an error? And that's what this catch is for right here. Right, so how can we artificially introduce an error into this code to see if this is actually working in the way that it should? Right, this reject function is what handles the error. So let's make, in this case, let's make a equals 0, so that when we get to this part of our sum here, we see that we're dividing by 0, which should end up in some undefined value. Right, and JavaScript allows us to do something kind of funny here. It allows us to say that if the value of d were not equal to infinity, right, then we could resolve the value and send it here and return the proper result. We could resolve it here and then send it here to log the proper result to the console. Right, now I'm sure you're looking at this right here and you're saying, but nothing can ever equal infinity. And that's true. So from a mathematician's point of view, this is probably a little bit annoying, but JavaScript allows us to do this, so why not take advantage of it? So let's see what happens if we do get an error. In that case, we're saying if d actually equals infinity. All right, what happens here? Well, we use our reject function and we return our error message. Okay, and as you see, we're putting in a as 0 and we're dividing by 0 here, so according to JavaScript's rules, we're allowed to say that that's going to equal infinity, and when it does, we're going to say that's not good. And let's see if we actually catch the error as we're supposed to with the reject function. And we do. You see it right down here. So we've used JavaScript promises to handle a problem of getting an undefined value when we had some sort of delayed response implemented within our function. And we see that things work out nicely when we do implement JavaScript promises into our code. So I hope this helped you, and I hope you'll tune in again for another tutorial, and thank you for tuning in this time.